But I guess that's a good question for you, that you've obviously had to find home again and again. You've continued to find it in yourself. Like, how have you let go of previous identities and personalities? And are you, because that's where we started, like, I think I've had to do that a lot of times. Like, even when you said monk, and I always say, well, I'm not anymore. And the reason I say that is because I had to let go of so many
that's interesting.
parts of that identity that don't serve me anymore. There are lots of parts of the identity that serve me massively. There are lots of parts of that identity that don't serve me anymore. Same with anything, like any work I've done. So I guess today, when you're deciding who you want to be, one of the things I've taken away from this episode for sure and talking to you, and I genuinely enjoy talking to you, is we know you're a very smart, intellectual, thoughtful person about what's happening in the world. But what I find really beautiful and refreshing is that today you're doing the same things internally on your inner world. Has that always been a habit? You even said today when you walked in, before we even started recording, you were like, Jay, when I've been on all day, I need to just reflect and decompress and think about stuff. Has that always been a habit? Is there a method you use? Is there an approach, or is it just something you naturally just go into that inner world?
Although I'm not particularly religious, I would have to say growing up religious instilled within me the idea that I could have conversations with myself, and they were necessary in order for me to process what I was going through. Wow. You know, that's what prayer is, in my opinion. It's a conversation that you are having multiple times a day. You are remembering, you are thinking, you are discussing, you are exposing your vulnerabilities, you are, whatever it may be, you're doing. In doing that as a little child, you know, getting on my knees and praying, one of my favorite lessons that my mom taught me was that your relationship with God is your relationship with God. You know, if I was in trouble, she wouldn't say to me, pray in front of me, let me hear you pray. No, she'd be like, you go and pray. And so what I am grateful for in that experience was that my relationship with God was then always my relationship with God. It was my conversation. It wasn't performative. It wasn't, I remember as a little kid, just like asking random questions. You know, I'd go to bed and I'd be like, oh God, oh man, why do I break things all the time? It's like, why? I don't know what it is. Like, I mean, you were there with me. I don't know why. Why don't you stop me sometimes? Like, you know, you never stopped me. I'll just be there as a kid and I don't want to break things, but then I broke it and I knew it was going to break, and now mom's angry, and please try and make her not as angry. But I'd have these conversations and I would feel different afterwards. I would feel better. I'd feel like I'd processed something. And that is an element of prayer that I think a lot of people take for granted, is that processing of the information that's oftentimes just running away in your head, like just really running away in your head. In that, I just try and ask questions. I always tell people, you know, I go like, I don't think I'm smart. I think I'm more and more confident in being an idiot, to be honest with you. You know, I have friends who I consider smart because I can ask them about anything. You know, I have friends who know about, you know, quantum gravity and whatever it is, space books. I always go like, you're reading space books again. I have friends who know about, you know, the deepest trenches of football history. I know friends who, they're smart in my opinion, but I'm proud to say I'm an idiot. And so when you let go of that sometimes, what I find is I then enjoy asking questions. You know, in most of my work, that's what I'm doing, is I'm asking questions. As a comedian, I'm asking questions of how we live in society. Why do we accept certain things the way we do? And I think it's funny that we do. And have you ever noticed how, and that's what a lot of comedians do. They're asking a question about something that everybody accepts as the norm. You know, I do it in my job on The Daily Show. I ask questions about how people see politics and why they see politics and, you know, whatever it may be. I ask questions, you know. I remember one day someone said to me, some random person who said to me, it's like, oh, it's crazy, you know, you came to this country and, you know, as a Democrat, you probably, I say, whoa, wait, what do you mean as a Democrat? In my country, we don't have that. In many political parties, we're not forced into a binary system. That's already, you didn't ask a question, you made an assumption, you know? And so even that has helped me where I come from. There is not just this or that. In America, it has like a very very player-hating vibe to it. It's like, look what that party's doing and look what that, and it's like, yeah, but what, you know what I mean? If you're voting for these things, shouldn't you be concerned about what you're going for?
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
It's your party.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but as a comedian, I'm going like, where are the jokes? I'll follow the jokes. I'll tell you that much, because that's what my purpose is in that moment. And this goes to everything I do in life. You know, I've been lucky enough to work on different projects like yourself. You know, I work in tech. I work with Microsoft on things. Funny, I remember the president of the company one day said, he's like, we're going to call you the chief questions officer from now on.
That's so good.
Yeah, because I've been lucky and, you know, I love tech. And a lot of tech is asking questions. A lot of what I do in life is enjoying asking questions and becoming less afraid of how stupid you may seem or feel asking the question.
Yeah.
And that's oftentimes what I see with kids. The reason they learn as quickly as they do, it's not just because of their brains, but I feel like it's because they don't have an idea of who they are or aren't supposed to be. And so they ask questions, and 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 they ask questions. And so what happens is, A, they get answers, but B, they discover that the people they're asking the questions of sometimes don't even have the answer. They just assumed an idea or the way, you know, the way the world was. And I often remind myself that if I become too tied to the idea of being smart or being informed or knowing, then I'm trapped. I would rather say, I try to be smart, I try to be informed, but if there's one thing I know I am, well, it's an idiot, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I enjoy it, you know, because then I can be the smartest idiot you've ever met, and I can be the most informed idiot you've ever met, and I'm fine with that, because I'm just trying to be the most natural me.
That's a good identity.